Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Herm's House. Come on in. This is my beautiful wife, looking extra special with that hair's all curled and up. Real sexy. Anyways, my beautiful wife, Christine, say hello.
Just make me feel all like embarrassed and stuff, like first right off the bat on the
Yeah.
episode, and I'm like,
We'll stop showing up all hot and stuff.
I don't know what to say. Oh, but yeah, let me just go back
Yeah.
to my bun and my glasses and all
Okay.
that.
Now you just see that's just
No
a different kind of
makeup
hot.
on.
Just a different kind of hot. Whatever.
I mean, I feel in that mood, just how it's been for the last weekend, having Gordy getting like a stomach bug or something.
Yeah. Out of the blue. That was a beautiful way to show back up from going out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, because we were invited out to go see a concert. I don't know if we talked about it last episode.
did.
I believe we did. Billy Shaw Jr. at the Maverick, which is a country bar here in Tucson. And
we went out 2 weekends in a row,
know,
but who
that's
are
crazy.
we?
Who are we?
Jeez.
These young kids out there. But it was good sitting there hanging out. I had some friends show up, but then we got back. We didn't get out. I mean, we didn't stay too late. I think it was like 12 when we left. So we got home maybe about 12:30. And Gordy was in our bed and he felt warm. So I was like, oh, great. He's got a fever. Okay, I'll just leave him, let him sleep here with us. And maybe an hour later, he woke up and threw up all over our floor. And I don't know what he ate that was red.
Like eat hot Cheetos or something?
No, because he doesn't eat spicy stuff.
He doesn't.
I don't know what he ate that was red, and it was all red on our, carpet, which is beige. So,
And it hit our gray box spring
yeah.
for the bed.
So, yeah, that was fun, and that continued on through the night and through Sunday. And thankfully, last night, there was no more vomiting. He did wake up several times, though, and mom panic. Like, I got absolutely no rest over the last 24, maybe 36 hours. Yeah. So here I am, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. Is that what it is?
Sure.
So yeah, I threw on some makeup and I decided to show up every day of work here in my home office like I do regular office
All the time.
all the time.
Yeah.
So even though I'm exhausted and feeling unmotivated because I'm so tired, I'm here. Hello.
Hi. No, and that was one of the topics that I wanted to discuss was Gordy continuously sleeping with us. And if he's sick, by all means, bro, hop in. You got a fever, like we will. When it comes to that, I don't care to like baby him, and because it sucks, you don't want to be sick, and especially if he's feeling like crap. And then he was throwing up, poor baby. We have a throw up bucket that we've been using. Me. It's a beer bucket that I got. I don't know, some bar. I don't remember, but I, of course, brought it home. And one year, Layla was like 4 years old, and same thing. She kind of went to my room and was like, I don't feel well. And it was like, she's probably 2:30 in the morning. And I didn't want to wake up my wife at the time. So I was just like, okay, well, I'll just take her downstairs and we'll watch cartoons, whatever I can put on, just long before streaming. So it was like, I don't know, Cartoon
Whatever was on
Network,
TV.
whatever was on. This is Force. It was like 2011, I think. It's been a minute. Anyways, so I got the bucket just in case, and I set it there, and I was like, well, what else do we have? This is the only thing we have. So got it there, and we're watching cartoons, and I'm trying to stay up, and yeah, every half hour to an hour, there she goes, throwing it up into the bucket. I'm like, okay, you're good, and then go throw it. And the most vivid thing that I remember about that was the fact that I had texted my boss at the time, and I was at the alert detachment, and I had texted her, and I said, hey, my daughter's super sick. I'm not going to be able to make it in. I'm going to have to try to take her to the doctor later. And she was like, well, what's your wife doing? And I'm thinking like, oh my word, how is that any of your business? Like, I'm trying to take care of my kid and you're worried about what my spouse is doing instead so that maybe she could take care of it instead of me. Like, I've already told you I'm going to take care of my daughter so you can kiss my butt. And that just one of the most annoying experiences. And that was one of the things that I took. It's like, I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
Put that in my back pocket.
No, but I think it's good because where we're at now, being able to be here for Gordy
Yeah.
and
Yeah, what are they
to
saying to
stay
nobody?
home. Yeah, and call. But that whole story was about the throw up bucket. You went way off
I did.
into left field.
Back
Yeah.
into, I was gonna, you started talking. I was gonna
I don't
circling.
know if you were.
I was gonna circle. I
You
was
were
gonna.
like going off, and I was like, is
Yeah,
he
she's
gonna come
mad.
back?
No, circling it
I'm
right
being
back.
producer here, man.
So, anyways,
I'm bringing you on back. I don't have a little silent beeper. I have to beep you out loud, like beep beep, bring it back,
oh, we need a
reel it
silent
in.
beeper. Dang, that one time we were doing our meeting and you just kept on going. I was like, I don't know how to get her attention without telling her like, shush. Anyways, yeah, so that bucket has been used for basically every kid we have, and now it has transitioned down to Gordy,
Yeah,
and
it's a beer
it's
bucket.
a beer bucket,
The whole point of that was that
and
it was
yes, I
a
have
beer
since
bucket,
put
isn't
more
it?
beer into it. Like I'll just rinse that bad boy out
Yeah.
and fill it with ice, get some long necks in there, and ready to go.
I don't know. You've kind of upgraded a little bit. You
What's I
use
got a
like
beer
the
fridge
ice
now? Yeah, I
chests
got it. Well,
and
because you bought me an ice chest.
beer fridges,
Ruff, ruff, ruff. Yeah,
beer
the beer
fridges,
fridge. It's in
and
the garage. The newly cleaned out and organized garage that me and the boys did this weekend,
yeah, another thing that was done. You were doing that while I was sitting there with Cody,
taking care of the
taking
puking
care of
baby.
him puking
Mhm.
every like half an hour. The thing is, what's good too about Gordy, he's like a calm puker.
He is.
He's a calm puker
He's
where he's
super
just
like
like,
just taking care of business.
I gotta throw up, and then goes and like throws up.
And then when
Even
he's
at night,
done,
he doesn't freak out.
even though
Like,
sometimes he's like with the violent like rah,
oh yeah, yeah,
and then he's done and he's just like, okay, I'm gonna lay down.
yeah, like super easy. My other two,
Yeah,
like panicked.
yeah,
Yeah, panicky throw up. Like, oh
yeah.
my god, oh my god. But to be fair, I'm a panic throw upper too.
Yeah.
So
If you remember our wedding episode,
our
our
wedding
anniversary
episode.
episode of how terrible we
Yeah.
were.
And I don't know if that's because we're more calm with Corey. We've always been calm with him when he's
Yeah,
vomiting.
sure.
And I think with my other two,
It's
I was
panicky.
panicking when they were
You
throwing
were
up.
also 12 when you had them, so
Yeah, so I was not 12 for you listeners out there.
17.
But yeah, 18 with my first one.
Bro, you were
And
18 for less
eight,
for a month and a week.
I know, but you, you're gonna overpower me this episode. I
Oh
know it.
no. Anywho. Yeah, but that's what I was talking about with Gordy, like sleeping with us. If he's sick, any of the kids, even I don't care, my other one's hopping and he's friggin' sick. I'd be like, I mean, you're sleeping on your mom's side. But it's fine. And the specifics behind that is because now Gordy just comes in at 2, 3, midnight, whatever in the morning.
Yeah, like on the regular,
Yeah,
not when
he'll
he's not sick. He'll
climb
come
in.
into our bed.
And it's just, I'm like, dude, go away. And mainly because just the other day, he does like cartwheels and stuff in his sleep. And it's been normal since he was a baby. And that's just always what he's done. But now it's a lot different because, when he's a baby, waking up with a pamper in your face, it's like, whatever, not a big deal. You just kind of like get off.
Unless
But
it's
now,
soaked.
oh, it smells. But now he just wears his little Spider-Man chonies and he rolls over. And the other day he rolled over and put, his gummy worm and his gummy bears right on my shoulder. And you could feel the warmth of his undercarriage. And I was like, are you serious, bud? And I just flipped them off of me. I'm like, this is why you can't sleep with us, man.
No,
Yeah.
he was there too the other day, and he's like laying there. He goes, "Mom, your boob is on my eye." I was like, "You're the one that wants to sleep here."
This is their seat. You're in it.
Yeah.
That's your fault.
Like,
Yeah.
well, that's the price you pay.
That is a
Sorry.
price. It is a price you pay. And see, now if I was in that spot, I'd be like, what up? Where's the other one at? I'd be all about it. But Gordy, obviously he's weird. Yeah, but that's the most difficult thing. But here we are, I guess, once again. But anyway, so my beautiful wife again was invited to be a guest on another podcast, Swaggy Vets, the
Mhm.
Swaggy Vets podcast. It is a podcast about the transitioning of military life to the civilian world and the struggles that some of us go through. And in the middle of that, they were kind of doing the intros, and I was sitting on the side, and I kind of stuck my head in and said hi, and whatever that was, it earned me an invite. So I'll be getting. I just turned in a little questionnaire for them, and I'll be scheduling that. But in honor of it being the Swaggy Vets and veterans transitions and all that kind of stuff, we wanted to kind of talk a little bit more in depth about our military service and all the things that we did while we were in. Because I think it's worth sharing. We did some fun stuff. We did some crazy stuff. Weren't any kind of like special ops or anything like that. The coolest thing I did was load a live munition and let it sit there. But I think We can go. Do you want to go first? Yours is much shorter than mine.
Mine is much short, but mine is more exciting than
It's super
yours.
more
I
exciting.
feel
You got
like
to
it
go
is.
overseas.
No. I no, I was just looking at the Swaggy Vet podcast, so that way we are ensuring that we get their page, and I was trying to find their handle, so that way we can really
Plug them.
plug them because it was such a great experience being on that podcast. They reached out, and it's one of those where I was a little nervous.
Scam alert.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, "Is this for real?"
Yeah.
Like, I just wanted to make sure.
It was them.
It was them. It was pretty cool. I'm not sure how they found me, which I forgot to ask them. I guess we'll ask on
Yeah.
when we talk to them again. But yeah, so they reached out. They sent me a questionnaire, which was really cool. And yeah, it's Swaggy Vets. They're right now they're on YouTube. That's where you can find them. And then you can find Swaggy Vets podcast, and then swaggyvets.com is their website. It's really cool because they also go out and do they go to like fundraisers, things like that. So they show up for the community as well. So go check them out. It's really awesome.
Yeah.
But to my experience in the military, I mean, for me, it was really great. If I had to do it all over again, and that was one of the questions they asked, is I definitely do it all over again. The benefits that it brought for me and my family are immeasurable. And it's the reason why we are here and doing the things we are today is because of the support and the benefits that came with it. Yeah, I was joined right after I was like, was it 2012?
Yeah, I just found your basic training photo while I was cleaning the garage.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's in that. It's framed too. You need to bring it out.
Yeah. Why
but
did you
it's
bring it out? Why did you leave it in my garage?
because I put it back in the container. It's organizing, bro. It's be like
Put
cleaning
that
Gordy's
away.
room. Like, no, I play with that still. Oh, good my God.
I know. It's a good thing I wasn't out there. It's
Yeah.
like, no,
Dude, give it
I
back.
want that.
Yeah. But it was from August 2012, so I'd imagine
Yes,
you
that's when I graduated.
Yeah.
So we left in June. I left in June of 2012. It was crazy because my experience going in was like, okay, I want to join. I think because I was beginning of 2012.
Mhm.
And then we're like, okay, should I do it? Should I not? Should I do it? Should I not? And it was like going back and forth so many times.
Well, you were already a mom so early.
Yeah, I mean, both Mariano and Cristiano at the time, they were 1 and 3, or Cristiano was about to be 1. Yeah, 2012, he was born 2011. And because I was kind of like in a stagnant place in my life.
Yeah.
I was working in like the daycare facilities that my mom was working, which I'd done since I was about 15 years old. And so I tried going to school initially out of high school, but I was pregnant with Mariano. So I was very sick and really couldn't stay in school. So I, got out of going to school, and tried going back to school in between Mariano and Cristiano and getting married and starting a new life. And I just didn't feel like I belonged anywhere. And I was kind of searching for myself. And I had wanted to join the military in the past because of my grandfather. He was in the Air Force, and my uncle and
Shout out to Tata
brothers.
Manny and Tio Tony.
And so I think that was like something my ex at the time, he had joined when I got pregnant with Mariano. I was like, hey, you should join the military. And he's like, no, I'm good. Like my family did their time.
My family did their time.
So I was like, well, how can I convince them? And thankfully, good friends of ours, the Toscanos, our friend Javi was going into the Navy, and I sat down with Sarah and I was like, hey, let's have some dinner and you guys can talk about all the great things that are going to happen for you guys because of the Navy. Don't want him to join the Navy, but hopefully you'll get some motivation to join the military.
Yeah.
And so we did. And as we were leaving that dinner, two things happened. One, I was vomiting all over the parking lot because I was pregnant with Mariano, had the worst morning sickness. So I do remember that. And I remember it because we had the queso, but it's not. It's the melted cheese.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say the wrong one.
Yeah, fundido. Fundido.
Because there's another word.
Fundido.
If you say
Fundido.
it means
Boating.
down under cheese.
Yeah.
Anyways, so we had that, and I just remember it all coming right back up. Sorry if you're listening to this while you're eating. It was disgusting. But the second thing was that my ex was like, you know what? I'm going to call the recruiter. And I was like, that is an amazing idea.
You did so good.
So good. So he did. He joined. He left from basic training like 2 weeks after Mariano was born.
Right.
And he was doing his service. So when it came round for me, and I was like, I really want to do it. Like, let me just try it and see what happens.
Yeah.
I really didn't think it was going to happen because I had had knee surgery before I went in. So we're like, okay, went through the process. It was like ASVAB, which is the test you take to get in.
The Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery.
Thank you, Mr. Recruiter. Oh, I took my ASVAB
Yeah.
test, got a really high score.
It's redundant.
Why is that?
ASVAB test.
What?
The B in ASVAB stands for battery, which is a test.
No, battery test. Boom.
Test,
Like
test.
you're testing your
Go ahead.
batteries.
Check 1, 2. Have at it.
Anyways, Mr. Recruiter
Yep.
took that and got a high score,
Mm-hmm.
and then went through the medical. Now, the medical part is where we were like worried. Went through it, was able to do everything, like didn't have problems because I didn't have problems at the time with my knee.
In fairness, what your ex didn't know at the time is that there is a waiver for everything.
Right.
Had you said
But,
like it's there, they would have.
Yeah.
It would have been waiverable, especially a knee. Like, come on.
Either way, we didn't know at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so
that was so easy. Go ahead. Your medical, that was the only thing you were worried about because of your knee surgery. Ready, go.
Yes. Medical. Knee.
She had a lot of sleep in 36 hours.
Great. It was good. Great. Good. Gone.
Yeah, but you got everything.
Everything was processed.
Yeah.
We were good. Had no problems because I didn't have any problems with my knee at the time.
Right.
Like I was still a healthy young buck. I was 21.
Mm-hmm.
And so, right after that, they're like, okay, well, you're probably going to be on, it's called student flight in the Air National Guard, which is like you sit and wait in this group until you get your basic training date.
You get paid, though.
You do get paid.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. But then I got my basic training date within like a week, and I was leaving in like 3 weeks. I think it was 3 weeks, maybe a month. Either way, I was leaving right away. We were not expecting that, but great.
Right.
So I did it, went straight in, went through basic training. Basic training was a fun experience for me. At first, it's like everybody that goes into basic training, I'm sure, has a similar experience, or the majority of people, because David's a recruiter or was a recruiter,
right,
and talked to his troops about it, like what happened.
Mm-hmm.
But you wake up, or you're going to bed, or at some point the first night or the second night, you're like, look, and you're like, what
am I doing?
The heck was I thinking? Why am I here cursing everybody? Like, you're like, this is ridiculous. And I have to go through another 8 weeks. For me, it was 8 weeks of this.
7 for me.
Oh my God. I was like instant regret. I think everybody, if you've been in served, you've had that moment of just like,
you said in some of those
crying,
meetings,
you're pissed, you're upset. Like, it's all the emotions you're going through.
You said in some of those meetings that I had with my recruits, when I told them, I was like, listen, day one, you are going to curse me.
Yeah.
You're going to be irritated with me. I told that to my little brother. It was even before he was, before I was a recruiter. I was still on the flight line. But speaking of my little brother, what is the super cool thing about him and you at the same time?
We were at basic.
You're basic training together. We did not know each other.
Not together, but at the same time. He was a few weeks ahead of me.
Correct.
And so
same squadron.
Same squadron though. Like,
that's what
we were in the same area. That was
oops. Yeah.
Same squadron.
I was there for his graduation in San Antonio, probably 2 weeks after you had gotten there, because it was at the end of June.
Yeah.
That he was graduating. So I got to go up there and witness his graduation. But yeah, little like when we first got to know each other, you were telling me, "Oh, I went to basic at this time." I'm like, "Wait. I'm pretty sure Elmo went to basic at that same time."
Yeah.
And he sure did. That was wild. Same squadron, everything.
It's crazy. Mm-hmm. So I was marching around while you were there for his graduation.
That's it. He was doing his airman's run.
Yeah. So it was really cool. I mean, going into it, I had a little bit of a preview of what I would go through. And I think each thing I was kind of like really afraid of. The gas chamber, the obstacle course, just everything. I'd be like, oh no, or I'd freak out. I'm like, I'm not going to do it. How
to explain the gas chamber, it is literally a gas chamber. You walk in your it's chem gear, we call it mop gear, and they put tear gas. They fill the room full of tear gas just to kind of show you like, hey, this stuff works. Now take it off. And you're like, oh no.
Yeah, because they train you on how to put everything on. They test it. They make sure everything's good. You go in there and you really don't see the smoke a lot. Like it depends on when you go in, because I went in first, and so you kind of see it like in the middle of the room, kind of smoking up.
Just like little capsules into this fire pit type thing.
After a while, like it just looks like you're in a room, like just a box of a room. You're like, this can't be that bad. And so you start doing different exercises. You like doing what are they called? Jumping
Jumping.
jacks.
She's been out for a minute, guys.
Jumping jacks. And then they start having you take off the mask portion of it. And
Right.
it's like a gas mask, a typical
Yeah.
gas mask you've seen. And it's like
Got the canister on it and
you
everything.
loosen it, and then you're like, ooh, that's a little warm.
It's a sunburn.
Thankfully, like I have hair. I had hair at the time. We had to wear it down.
I didn't.
You didn't. So most of the guys tell this story a little differently. But my hair is covering my neck, so you feel a little bit of warmth. I would compare it, and when I tell people this story, I compare it to like a sunburn.
Mm-hmm.
So you start to feel that like around your neck. You're like, okay, that's a little uncomfortable, but not bad. I think I could do this. So then they have you there's a hood, right? Took the hood that, and then you're sitting here like, okay, get ready to take your mask off.
I'm underneath.
Yeah. You take your mask off, and then you're like, it hits you. And I don't know if you've ever like barbecued with charcoal grill. You ever had that smoke just slap you in the face if you're standing too close to it? That's how I would compare it to.
Yep.
And so then they have you, at the time, they had us say our reporting statement was trainee, blah, blah, reports as ordered.
Right.
And then you start coughing because then it gets into like your lungs and your throat area. And then they have us walk out of there. So
hands out.
Yeah, hands out like a little airplane.
Yep.
And I'm gonna be honest, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Like I think my head, I worked it up to be so much worse.
Yeah.
And so when I went in there, it wasn't that bad. I was like, okay, I'm okay. I did it. I survived. I think there were some people that probably hit a little bit harder. And I got the hint, like I tell you, before I went in, they get the little secrets of like, make sure you do this or make sure you do that. One of them was like, be the first to go into the gas chamber because the smoke or the gases wouldn't have filled the room completely yet. Right. So it's like go in there first.
We were one of the last ones.
Yeah, I was the first. I was first in line
to go
into that room. Because also, if you're first in line, you're first to go out of the gas chamber. Of course. So I had all the hints.
It wasn't, we went by flight number. We didn't have a choice as to who wants to go first. It was, and we were towards the end. I think our flight number was like 712 or something like that. And we were, I mean, shoot, they started at the 690s. So we're, yeah, there was a ton of flights that went before us.
No, they're like, okay, start lining up. That's what they told us. We were all in groups out there in the field. It was little area they had us in.
Yeah, overhang.
Yeah, the overhang. And so there's like, start lining up. So it's like, pop, pop, pop. And I like mop here, running over to get first in line. Which is weird. You're like, right? People are like, hell no, I'm not going first. Right. Get out of here. No, that was the key to the gas chambers to go first. And so I did, and I survived. And to be fair, like I wasn't coming out of there like a lot of people came out like boogers just flowing, tears just flowing, like all these things, coughing and dying. I didn't feel that. But I also didn't want to get yelled at for not.
So you pretended.
So I pretended
you were
like,
ugh.
Like coughing and stuff just to make sure I didn't yell at or get put back in there. So, I played that one off. But that was a gas chamber, one of the things I was afraid of. The obstacle course, I was like nervous that I was going to fail at that and not be good at it. And so that was another thing. But then the day we went to go do our obstacle course, it was raining.
So I couldn't do it.
So we couldn't do it. We got to do one obstacle, and it was the rope swing. Did you make it on the rope swing? Were you able to catch it? And so the rope swing it's this hanging rope that's over this like little
swimming pool.
It's not so much a swimming pool. It's not as big as a swimming pool, just like a little kiddie pool of water. And so they swing the rope at you, and you're supposed to catch the rope and swing across it because you're in your full uniform.
Right. Boots and all.
Boots and all. Did you make it?
I did, yeah.
Caught it. Did you hit the water at all?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't recall. It's been a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, but like over 20 years. Yeah. Okay. For me, because I really think it's because I'm short. And to reach the rope, for me, I had to really get a jump. And we didn't get a running jump. I think if I would have also got a running jump, I probably, like, I didn't plan it all, mostly because it was like quick, because they're like, this is the only thing you got to do. And the brain had stopped at the time, so they were like, hurry up and go and do it, right? And so I go for it, and I'm like super motivated. I got this, and I just reach out for the rope, and it slipped through my fingers. Like, I don't know if you've seen Mulan.
I did, but
anyways, there's a part where it's like, it slipped through my fingers, and the rope just gets
you gave it away. You were supposed to say movie quote. Quote.
So it did, and I went right into the water.
Yeah.
And it was funny because the thing is like, stand up. As soon as you're in there, stand up. But once you fall in the water, you forget that you just stand up because you're thinking you have to swim because you're wearing your big old combat boots. They're like floating up to the top. But if you just stand up, it's shallow enough for you to stand up.
I can't swim.
And everybody forgets for a second that you just have to stand up.
Mm-hmm.
So I stood up. I was soaked to make it. But I was fine.
Yeah.
I made it through.
There's nothing more Air Force than we can't do an obstacle course, an outdoor obstacle course, because it's raining.
No, worse. There was another one that I was afraid of was called the Pugil Sticks, and it's basically like combat with two like they're Q-tip looking things.
Think American Gladiators with helmets and those Q-tip looking. They're called Pugil sticks, right?
They're called Pugil Sticks, but they got like these
big
cushiony foamy pads at the end that you like hit each other with. And we couldn't do that. Get this, because there were puddles on the pad.
Yeah.
Puddles. And I was like, dang it. It was sunny, but there were puddles. So we couldn't do it. Oh, well.
You could just go out there and squeegee off some puddles.
No. So going through, and there's like a lot of, so there's all the physical stuff you do. And then, of course, the marching. But there's also like an educational part of it. And you're in classrooms and you're training and you're studying and all this stuff. And going through it, I was just trying to do my best. Like, I was trying to be out there. I got picked to be a leader during our like quote unquote deployment week that we were on.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. And I got
because you were old.
Probably 100%. I was 21.
21's old in basic.
Old in basic training. They did call me mom.
There you go.
A lot of girls called me
Most
mom.
of them are 17 and 18.
Yeah. My last name was Soto at the time. They call me Mama Soto.
Yeah. That sounds even older.
It is.
God.
It was. But I was 21 and a mom at the time. So I think I've always had those motherly like instincts to take care of people.
You were the older sister.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I ended up graduating honor grad, which was really cool, getting high scores, physically, education, all the things. So that was really cool. I wasn't expecting that, wasn't trying to. I remember there was a girl on my flight who was mad at me because she was trying her hardest to get honor grad. Like that was on her list to do at basic training.
I didn't even know what that was.
Neither. I mean, I knew what it was, but I didn't really like know what it was. Right. Like I knew it was a thing, but I didn't know how to get it or what it was. So I didn't care. But this girl didn't get it, and I did, and she was very upset at me. I just remember I was like, because I was like very nonchalant about it. So yeah, I got that. Yeah. So it was really cool. Got to graduate. Went off to tech school. I was a contract specialist in the military, which basically is a professional buyer.
Yep. Finance.
Not finance. Not finance.
You finance.
Don't confuse us with finance. Don't get mad at us. We have nothing to do with your pay, even though we're across the hall from finance. And we work closely with finance when it comes to budgets. We're not finance.
I mean, you basically finance.
No, we're not. Not finance.
You're across the street from finance, across the hall.
That's what I said. Even
Same
though we're
bit.
close to them, because we have to deal with them with budgets.
Yeah.
We're not finance.
Whatever.
Anyways, so I did that for my career. Tech school was cool, and then tech school sucks. It was still at Blackland, which is where basic training is. They basically put us on a bus to drive us across the street.
Yep.
So that was fun.
Yeah, but San Antonio, Texas, which is where Lackland is located, is significantly larger and has a lot more to do than Wichita Falls, Texas, which is where I went to tech school. And that was like population 40,000 people, and most of them lived on base.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we had more to do, I guess. But I didn't have a car. Like, you had a car. I didn't have a car.
I did eventually, yeah. But my tech school was significantly longer than yours.
Longer, yeah. Mine was 8 weeks.
Mine was 16.
Yeah. And they're like, everything you're going to learn here is not going to matter as much when you get to your unit.
Yeah. So
it was cool. It was a cool, crazy experience. I got into some trouble while at tech school.
It happens.
It happens. But I felt like the worst person in the world, like getting in trouble.
Yeah, but for the guard, it's so much different than active duty.
Yeah. They're like, is she going to be charged with anything? They're like, no.
Well, no.
Is she in trouble for anything specific? Well, no. Okay, then she's going home.
See you later.
But I was still like, felt devastated.
Oh, sure.
Because I don't like getting in trouble.
Yeah.
I don't get
You're a rule follower, just like me. That was sarcasm if you guys couldn't hear it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, made it back. Got to serve. It was a great experience. My office was crazy. I made some great friends.
You deployed.
I did deploy.
Mm-hmm.
I got sent to the United Arab Emirates. ADAB is where it was called. At the time, it was an undisclosed location in Southeast Asia. Mm-hmm. I don't know why it was so undisclosed, because like they when we, it what it had to do is in contracting when we're ordering things, we're getting things shipped. We have vendors. When we're talking about performance, we had to put undisclosed location in Southeast Asia, and it's
Right.
like, what? I don't know why it was undisclosed at the time, but it was. And people were like, "Well, you can't talk about where you're at." And I'm like,
We're still technically at war.
"Yeah, I guess true." Either way, it was cool. It was a cool experience being out there. We got one day off a week, and so that one day we tried to do our best to go off and see, like, because we were near Dubai, near Abu Dhabi. So we went out and I got to go to like Ferrari World and see the Burj
The
Khalifa.
Wiz Khalifa.
Yeah, that's what he called it. Um, got to go on the 122nd floor of the Burj
You
Khalifa.
saw Fluffy there.
I did see Gabriel Iglesias there. That was pretty funny. We had gone up and we were getting out of the elevator, and everybody's like, to the side, to the side. And I was like, okay, moving over. You're in a different country when someone tells you to move
Yeah,
to the
get out
side
the
or
way.
like get out the way. But then here comes Fluffy, and he's just walking by, and I was like, I made eye contact, and I was like, like in surprise, like surprised to see him. And he looks at me and he goes, hi. And like he was walking into the elevator, he was leaving.
That's awesome.
And one of my friends there, his name's Brandon. He served with me here in Arizona and through deployment. And I was like, Brandon, that was Fluffy. He's all, no, it wasn't. I was like, yes, it was. Like, no, it wasn't. So then we did some research, and yeah, he ended up being there. He was on tour
Right.
doing his stand up there in Dubai. So that was pretty funny. Yeah, I got to go indoor ski resort. It was
In
really
the middle of
cool.
the desert.
In the middle of the desert. It was everything they have there is inside malls.
Right.
Everything. Ace Hardware, their grocery stores, all the things they do have Ace Hardware there. Every time we saw something American there, I was like, "Oh my god, a McDonald's! Oh my god, a KFC!" I was so excited to like see. It was funny because of all the things that you could see there.
Right.
Those are the things I
You're
would
impressed by the American
outwardly
stuff.
say that they had there. They had an IKEA, and that was
Which,
so cool to see.
yeah, for the record, is not American.
It's not American,
Right.
but just
Not
seeing
even
things,
North American.
seeing things from home was fun. So
That's
there's
funny.
that.
Yeah.
Um, one of my favorite things that they had food there at the mall was a doner kebab.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like this chicken
I've heard many
and
stories
this
of
like
these doner kebabs, but I've never
waffle-like
actually had one.
roll. Oh my God, so good. When we go see Noah in Germany, we have to go try those
Sure.
because they're amazing. But yeah, it was a great time being deployed. Being away was really hard. Being away from my family and my
Yeah.
kids and you
Right.
was rough. It was right at the smack dab beginning of our relationship.
Yeah.
So it was like not only starting a new relationship and then being away right away. It was rough.
Yeah.
We made it through.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert,
I'm
here we
still here.
are. And yes, it was cool. I liked it. I would do it again. Just my job, but like hyper focused on all the things and everything's moving a million miles per minute. And the different experience for me being a woman in that part of the
Oh, yeah.
country, doing business in that part of the country as a woman, and the different experiences I had with that. And then the ways that we had to get like our products and different things into the base.
Mm-hmm.
It was nerve wracking. I didn't really 100%. I was always on edge, right, watching and making sure things was okay. Thank, Thankfully, I wasn't anywhere that was too crazy in danger. We did see at some of the planes that we did send out there, so we supported the airframes. I think it was like 7 airframes that we had. So a lot of the purchasing and buying, I got to see the airframes that we did support the war fight in. So that was a crazy experience getting to see those things because we got to see kind of the behind the scenes of what goes out there and what comes back. And
Right.
so that was pretty intense. And then there was one cool thing because who we bought for one of the spy planes that was out there.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't. What do you remember the name? I can't remember the name. It's the flat plane, kind of looks like a boomerang.
I think it's a B-2.
The B-2.
I think so.
I didn't want to get it wrong, but I was hoping you knew what it was.
B-2 bomber.
Anyway, so
Stealth.
when it lands, so when it takes off, it has these 2 attachable wheels on its wings, and then it's like a bicycle, right? It has the 2 wings in the center, and it flies. And when it takes off, the 2 wheels they attach on the wings fall off.
Oh, that's a U2.
U2.
Oh, that's a
U2.
U2.
Yes, U2. That's
Oh,
right.
yeah. My buddy Manny used to work on those
Yes,
bad boys. Yep.
yes.
No, those are, yeah.
Yes,
Oh, that's way
U2
different.
spy planes
Mhm.
flies really high.
It does.
they have to wear like
Astronaut
astronaut
suits.
suits to be in it, which is so cool. And we got to do a tour of that. But then when they land, they need what's called a follow car, which is a really fast car
Yeah.
to help guide it when it lands, because when it lands, it only has the bicycle wheels to land on. So they have to tell them like how their wings are kind of angling and what they're doing as they're landing. So we got to ride in the follow car, this fast car, and you're driving on the flight line super fast, and all of a sudden you see the U-2 plane fly right over you, and you hear the guy in the front helping it to land, and then you see it land on the two wheels, and all of a sudden it just think falls over to one side. And the guys come over, the crew chiefs come over, maintenance guys, and put the wheels on the wings and then get it all set up. The guy
Yeah.
hops out. So that was one of the coolest experiences while I was deployed, getting to be a part of.
Right.
Yeah, and so that was fun.
Yeah, you got to ride in the follow car, and all the maintenance guys had to go do all that work.
Yeah, for us to be out there.
That tracks.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was so fun. Yeah, that was my deployment. Went through, came back, finished off my service in California
Yep.
when we got transferred over there. I was actually went into logistics over there.
Yeah, but you
kind
did
of
all contracting
technically, but
stuff.
they just had me do contracting stuff for them and
Yeah.
put together their packages to go up to the contracting office, because I knew how to do all of that work.
Yeah, because my boss at the time, Sergeant Bivens, he orchestrated basically a little hookup deal because they didn't have contracting over there, and your ASVAB scores would have got you any job, but we didn't want a job that you actually had to do stuff in. So
Because I was planning on
because
getting
you were
out.
already gonna get out, yeah, because
Yeah.
we gave that whole ultimatum of having a baby or trying for a baby or going for a commission and staying in and
Spoiler alert, now we hit 40.
pick the baby,
I got out.
whatever.
Yeah. So it was good. It was a great experience. All the benefits. I finished school.
Yeah.
Got my GI Bill to help me finish school. I was started to go back to school while deployment. So I started a little bit right before I deployed.
Yeah.
Finished going to school, or continued to go to school while in deployment, and then finished that next 2 years?
Yeah, you
It took like 2 more
finished.
years
You finished in Texas.
in Texas,
Mhm.
so it took about 2 years to finish after that. And I
Right.
wasn't going like hard on full time, but I was able to slowly finish my degree and got my
Yeah.
bachelor's degree. Didn't have to pay anything for it, so that was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, got my degree in project management. Got into continued on contracting a little bit in the civilian world, and
In the civilian world for an Army hospital.
for an Army hospital, while also working with in the financial realm.
Yeah.
Became finance eventually,
Started
and now
finance.
into the financial world.
Yeah.
That's what we do now. So, yeah, I mean, everything that it taught me, my leadership gave me the confidence in all the things that I could do. It brought me out of the shell that I put myself into during my teenage years.
Right.
It brought me back out of it and kind of really showed me that I can do anything as long as I put my mind to it. So I like carry that with me. They say like you transition out of your boots, but my boots are always just there, I
Yeah.
think, because it helps carry me on to like the next thing, and everything that I do, I just have to remember your training.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I got to be a dependent.
Dependopotamus.
I prefer triceratops.
Triceratops. They got all
Sounds
kinds of
cooler.
derogatory names for
Yeah,
the
it's
poor
awful.
dependents
Bad
that
names for dependents,
whether you're male or female, you're
which is,
you're gonna get something.
you're gonna get something.
Yeah.
But being a military spouse with you at
Yeah.
the end of your career was awesome.
At
as
the
well.
end of your career.
Yeah, both.
Well, yeah, I guess you were still there.
Yeah.
At the end of mine.
Right.
You know, it reminds me of that scene, like the transition, talking to my career, like about my career. It reminds me of the scene of Saturday Night Live where the two, when they get abducted by aliens,
Oh
and
yeah.
the two are like, "Oh my God, it was so pleasant," and then the other one's like, "Not quite the way it happened for me." That's the transition. That's not quite the way it worked out for me. Yeah, going in '04, I was very young. I was 17 when I enlisted into the delayed enlistment program, the DEP,
What does that mean?
and the delayed enlistment program.
Mm-hmm.
So what it was I was going active duty. I didn't even know the Guard existed because in Odessa we didn't have any recruiters or any of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going into active duty, and you enlist and they basically say, okay, I tell them I can leave in, let's say, June,
Mhm.
because for me, I wanted to graduate high school and all that stuff. And so you go and you are quote unquote in the Air Force, but you're not actually doing anything. So we didn't have like a student flight or any of that stuff. I'm pretty sure our recruiters were supposed to have at least like a monthly visit.
Check on you to
Yeah,
make sure
check on you,
everything's
make
good.
sure you're still, in shape and, all of which I was not. Hi. Um, yeah, we got to, my choices were either go join the oil field in Odessa or the like, or join the military because college was not even, it wasn't even remotely a thought to go continue school. Like, yeah, right. Not for us. So I joined the Air Force because I was like, I have no interest in going and working out in the oil fields, which turned out to be a great decision because the recession crushed so many of those jobs. But I went June of 2004. What were you doing in June of 2004?
Probably playing softball.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
13.
you're like 13 years old. Neat. And yeah, middle summer. You went in the middle of summer as well.
I
I
did
mean,
June.
yeah, and going
Middle of
from
summer in San Antonio is great.
it is just muggy.
The
Uh,
humidity is something else.
when I went in the days, because by the time we got to you, I went in the days to where like punishment was just almost free for all. As long as they didn't hit us,
Mhm.
it was basically a free for all. And I remember so many times, like in the middle of the street, they would make us do our little 45-degree turn in formation and get on our
On the
faces
asphalt.
on the asphalt,
Ugh.
hot, and doing push-ups. You got them rocks digging into your hands and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, we didn't think twice of it. You're in boot camp. I mean, of course, you didn't think like this isn't nice,
No.
and then I got
You're like, it's expected.
it's
You're
expected.
supposed to do this.
I kind of thought they were going to hit me. I didn't know that they weren't allowed to. So I was expecting like, please don't.
Well, and I mean, that reminded me of something that happened during basic training for me, the whole sexual assault scandals.
Oh my word.
Because, like, they started to, like,
National news.
it was national news.
Yeah.
Sorry to, like, derail your story.
No, this
But
one's worth a derailment.
yeah, so while we were at basic training, um, they pulled us aside because we're not allowed to have our cell phones or anything like that. And different time for you. You could talk about your experience with that. But while I was there, we had cell phones. And so when we would call home, we'd give our cell phones back, we'd call home, and that's kind of how we stayed in contact. Well, at one point, they pulled us all into a classroom. They took us away from our MTIs, which are training instructors. They were both males. And they brought in a female instructor and basically said, right now there's a huge story going on in the nation that there has been sexual assaults during basic training
By the MTIs.
by the
Yeah.
MTIs to
The
the
trainees.
trainees. And we were all shocked because none of us experienced any of that. But they basically were saying like these TIs were taking these trainees off base and whatever have you.
And I think it was more so I don't want to say grooming, but it was like just an abuse of power
Yeah,
of
you're not
saying,
supposed to. It's like
yeah,
it's like your
you're
boss
in a
and
position of authority and you're able to kind of uh, convince this young lady that's 17, 18 years old that you're a big high and mighty staff sergeant, and they find an appeal in that, and it was a huge abuse
it
of authority.
yes, and it was happening while I was there.
Mm-hmm.
So they had us like everybody like you if any of you need to talk to anybody about this is not okay.
Right.
You can come and talk to us about it and we will help you. But right now you get to call home and tell everybody you're okay. And we're like, okay, like this is crazy. Like we didn't even so like I called home. I talked to my ex. I talked to my mom and I was like, what's going on? And yeah, sure enough, it was like this story that was on the news
Mm-hmm.
that this was happening. Like, because you're so disconnected when you're at basic training, you don't
Oh
know
yeah.
any of this is happening. And
You have a TV, you don't have a phone, you have a computer, you don't have
crazy.
nothing.
And yeah, we didn't experience it. Of course, they our male TIs for a while. There was like a couple days that we didn't have our TIs back because they had to like do training, they had to like go through and investigations and things like that. Of course, they came back eventually. Thank God, because I hated that TI that they gave us, the female. Um, and yeah, they kind of just went through it with us, and
And
had
for
to
the record,
be
TIs are not meant to be liked, so it's not that she did
no,
her job. Is all she did her job. Yeah.
no, because our TIs didn't like her either.
Oh.
There's a lot of drama.
That's fair.
Other drama we could go to.
Yeah.
All through.
No, and in fairness, it was like how they say, a few rotten apples spoil the whole batch. It was just a few of them. In no way was it all of them, but just, the ones that got caught, it ruined it for everybody at that time, and it did a lot of damage, especially in those years.
Yeah, we were in the transition years when I went through. A lot of things were changing from the old to the new of how they were handling discipline and how they were, because like you said, when you went through, you can tell the story about the TI breaking his face. I'll let you get into that.
Oh, my word.
But it just changed significantly from then to now.
But in fairness, the year that I joined, there was a bunch of signs basically saying, hey, you can't do steroids.
Oh, gosh.
So obviously, that was the reason, that whenever a rule is invented, it's usually because somebody did something.
Yeah.
But no, and just real quick timeline addition. When you were in basic training in 2012, I had just hit my 8th year mark.
Nice.
So just going to throw that out there. Anywho, back to my basic training before I was so rudely interrupted. I was, middle summer. Coming from Odessa, Texas, Odessa's desert, just like this. We don't have any humidity or any of that kind of stuff. So, you can only imagine my hair would just not cooperate. We didn't have hair. We got shaved down immediately.
Those are the funny videos because they send home basic training videos and seeing the guys sit there in the chairs. And just
my God. We were cleaning the garage yesterday, and I was going through that box, and then I pull out my VHS, and my dad was like, VHS, shut up, jerk.
You go to Nana's and watch it.
I know, we don't have a VCR. We got to take it to Nana's. Dang it. She still has one, though. We should take it. She would love to see that video.
Let's go tonight.
Oh, and it's funny. I'm down. But yeah, so 2004, June, again, September 11th, it was pretty fresh. We had just invaded Iraq in 2003. So it was, it was all patriotism. We would go to church. I'm not even...
Down on one knee.
I was devastated. It shook my world. I could not, for the life of me. Inside joke, one of my buddies, whenever I talked about, me joining RAF September 11th, he turned it into me, just over exaggerating the impact that this had on me. And I when he was talking about it, I was like, did I say anything about that? Or I don't remember it affect. And when I finally asked him about it, he goes, I don't know. I was just making it up. I'm like, I hate you so much. Shout out to Stupid Baruman. He really had me on that one. I was like, I don't remember, man. Because I'm old, so my memory is not what it used to be. But yeah, I got a little VHS tape and, got my hair cut and all that stuff. But we would go to the church during basic training. And I wasn't very religious at the time. It was an escape, to get away from all of the, screaming and, push-ups and running and all that stuff. Heck, I lost 35 pounds in basic training in a 6-week span of and I certainly wasn't eating healthy. I was eating whatever the heck they had on that cafeteria line. And it was just all the running and probably profuse sweating that I did from the humidity. But we would go to that church, and it was awesome because of the fact that, they play all these inspirational videos. At the time, it was The Patriot with Mel Gibson. Yeah. And they would be playing Toby Keith, R.I.P., American Soldier. Yeah. And everybody in there was just watery-eyed and doing your best not to cry, but you didn't stand a chance.
Yeah.
And then
Sundays, grilled cheeses and Jesus.
Grilled cheeses and Jesus. and yeah, the TIs were basically off on Sundays, but not quite. They still had that element of surprise to show up every once in a while. Yeah, so we were there, the church thing, it was cool. The gas chamber, that's where I was getting at, the gas chamber.
Your gas chamber.
Yes, I got no, knowledge. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have anything to where I could check it out. It was just...
Yeah, because you're old.
Plus, I didn't know anybody who had joined the Air Force. I was the first in my family to do anything post-high school. So going in there and just, I had no knowledge. I remember immediately, once we walked into the gas chamber, because of course, I was towards the end, my neck started burning immediately.
Oh, you didn't have your gear on right then.
Oh, obviously. And probably our gear, it was BDU gear, mind you. So it was a million years old.
But I made sure I was every direction they gave.
Of course.
I could just see you be like, I got this.
Yeah. Wait, what'd they say? I'll just throw it on. Cool. Yeah. And I did. And that was exactly the process. But as soon as I walked in and everybody's like, you shouldn't feel anything right now. I was like, nope. Nothing at all. Neck burning. I was like, this is gross.
Because you did it wrong.
Obviously. No, but it's funny because I talked to a bunch of the guys afterwards and a bunch of the guys were like, yeah, man, as soon as we walked in. So I'm pretty sure our gear was not up to par. I don't think that somebody could actually take that gear that we were wearing and go to war
No, I
in
don't
it.
think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
they
was just
use it over and over again.
literally all the time, right? So yeah, I did. I was one of the first in my line, but they made us do the hokey pokey to kind of try to get our, movement and stuff. Again, my neck's burning the whole time. And then we get to the point to where you're supposed to say a reporting statement. I pull my mask off, and I just start coughing almost immediately because at the time they made us take a deep breath and then
Mm.
start saying our
Oh
reporting
yeah, we were
statement.
supposed to take deep
Oh,
breaths too,
okay,
but
yeah.
I went
Again, nobody warned us of anything.
quick deep breath.
So I started coughing immediately. I got to all of Sir Trainee and then just started coughing my guts out. And then, yeah, I did the whole snot thing and the tears and walking out. And it was the most accomplished I had felt at basic training, walking out of that gas chamber. I was like, that was amazing.
Yeah.
I thought it was so cool. And my buddy, I remember his name was Franklin Benjamin. Yeah, that was his name. And they even had, he was from, I'm pretty sure he was from New York, Pennsylvania, somewhere up north. And the TIs were like, "Are you serious?" And he kind of didn't get it. He was like, "Yeah, like, what do you mean? What's wrong? Like, your name is Benjamin Franklin?" No, yeah, backwards. It was, anyways. So Benjamin, my buddy, we're walking out and doing the airplane thing with our hands out, and I got snot hanging down to my knees because I got the worst allergies and all kinds of congestion.
Takes very little for you to get like that to
Yeah,
begin
yeah,
with.
yeah, it's true. Yeah, and so I'm draining, and it was the best cleanse. It was great. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it as like a regular thing, but and I'm loving life. I'm like, that was so cool. And my buddy over, he's like, Herm, how is this legal, bro? How are they allowed to do this to us? But that was awful. And I was like, are you kidding me? That was great. He did not enjoy it. He thought this should be placed on like in the Geneva Convention. This is a bad idea. It was fine. Yeah, I graduated. My family showed up, and my girlfriend at the time. I was, yeah. You
I
said
just
your
rolled
ex
my eyes.
50 times, and I
I just
didn't
rolled
say
my eyes
nothing.
on
Anyways,
if you're not watching.
yeah. So yeah, we got to go, hang out around San Antonio. I'd never been to San Antonio before then, at least not like as an adult. We had gone once for a football trip with Permian, but we went to the stadium, played football, and then we left. I didn't play. I want to clarify that I was not a football player. I was a filmer. What up?
Story for another day.
Another day. Anyways, so got to check out the town, and then from there we hopped onto I think it was a charter bus. I don't think it was like a school bus type thing. It was a charter bus type thing, and they shipped us up to Wichita Falls, Texas. We stopped in the middle somewhere to go get some lunch. But then it was a long trip. I want to say it was probably like an 8-hour ride because we're riding in a bus.
Yeah.
So it took forever to get up there, and it was probably only. It was great.
I was a little jelly of all those people that got to go somewhere else
I hear you,
for their tech school. You got to go on the bus and then go somewhere
but
else to another place.
I've been to like Mississippi. I've been to like where they have it's Keesler Air Force Base where they have a lot of the like techie tech schools. Wichita Falls, which they have all the maintenance down in Lackland. There's the only better tech school location that I would say is by far, hands down, the best is vehicle maintenance, and that is at Port Hueneme, California, in Oxnard. I believe Oxnard. We was in Oxnard. Anyways, Oxnard, California, or Ventura, one of those two. And it is, I mean, on the beach.
Yeah.
You are in your own, like, beautiful location. That would be the only place that I would say is better than Lackland. 'Cause I like
Well, I feel like linguists too. They're up in San Francisco area,
in Monterey.
Monterey.
Yeah, Monterey, but everything's expensive there.
Yeah.
Yeah, my buddy Harding, he was a linguist. He got to go up there.
Yeah.
That was cool. But we also got to go to Monterey. Monterey
We
was
did.
legit.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me at least, going during my career to different places, we
Yeah.
did for like training, but only a couple. I think you did more.
Oh, I did a
Later
ton
on.
once I became a
Yeah.
recruiter.
Yeah.
A ton. But graduated tech school. It took 16 weeks. I got to graduate the week before Thanksgiving. We were
Nice.
supposed to stay obviously past Thanksgiving because of the holiday and all that stuff, but they kind of sped up the process. And that was the first time I got to meet Noah because it turns out that my other high school hang around, she had gotten pregnant and had a baby 2 days before I left for basic training. And yeah, turns out apparently 99.999% on a paternity test means yes. Whatever. So I always make the joke he's the only one that I have proof of. So I know for sure he's my son. The rest of them, I mean, it's in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They just look exactly like you. That's
Strong
all.
genes, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, got to hang out at home for a couple of weeks. We got to do the recruiter assistance program. I was in Odessa for a few weeks.
Which is
And
important because you went active duty.
I did.
Straight.
I did.
And I went guard.
Yes.
So with active duty, it's important because he got to go home.
And that's not normal.
And that's not normal. And I was guard. So guard, you go back to your home base.
That's where I found out about the guard, was in basic training. And more than half of my flight was guard kids. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, once I'm done, I get to go back home. Mm-hmm. For what? I'm like, I work at home. I was blown away.
Yeah.
I was so mad.
One of the best benefits is like you go and you're serving, but you serve home.
At the house.
Home.
I mean, not at the house.
But you could also serve like any National Guard base that you want. You could pick one.
Correct.
And then go back to that one.
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing that for those who are not familiar with how active duty guard works, he went active duty, which means the Air Force picks where he goes after he's finished with tech school. And guard, you pick where you go.
Right.
After tech school.
Yeah, which I learned afterwards. But, hey, better late than never. I got my first set of orders, and they were to Hill Air Force Base, Utah. And I was like,
Hill?
Gross. What? Oh, my God. It's Utah? Mm-hmm. It's full of ice and snow and Mormons. Oh, I was petrified. I didn't know nothing about Mormons or ice or snow or West Texas, dude. Like,
you didn't know
nothing. So yeah, it was very scary to get those orders.
Well, and you were 18?
I was 18.
Now you were 18?
Yeah.
Or you were,
no, I was still 18.
You were 18
mm-hmm.
then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, because I got my orders.
At 17.
Yeah. And then I went.
You turned 18.
A month later, I turned 18.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I went to basic training.
Okay.
But in tech school,
18 years old, getting orders to Utah. Had no idea.
No family, no friends, no nothing out there. And only one other kid got orders to Utah in my class, and he was a nerd. I don't even remember who he was. Like he just didn't hang out with the quote unquote cool kids. But when the other guy who was the other kind of nerd in the class, he got Luke Air Force Base in Phoenix, and he was from Minnesota. And he looked at his orders like he's going to go to the desert, and he was just as petrified as I was to go. Was he
like 18, 19 years old?
We were all of us except for like the one prior service guy. We were all under 20. Okay. So yeah, we were all under 20. He was a baby too. Yeah, we were all babies. And same thing. He was like, Phoenix? Like, are you kidding me? And I had heard, because you got the dorm lawyers that are like, oh, you can trade. And I was like, let me just ask if I could trade. And then his last name was Hetland. I don't remember his first name, but his last name was Hetland. And I asked him, I said, hey, man, if this is true, would you want to trade orders? And he was like, oh, my God, yes. Oh, he couldn't say yes fast enough. So we went to the MTL, military training leader at the dorm, and asked, like, hey, I heard this was a thing. Is that true? And they were like, yeah, it is. If you guys want to trade, you can. I was like, are you serious? So we were able to trade. He went up to Hill, where he deployed all the time and got to travel all the time. And I went down to Luke, where I did absolutely nothing but one TDY, which is just a work trip, when I was 20 years old, to Las Vegas. Which you can't do anything at 20 years old in Las Vegas, just FYI, especially when you're with everybody else who's 21. So they're like, all right, later, bro. My roommate was super cool. Old Sakio. My roommate was super cool. He still follows me on social media. I don't know if he listens or not, but we called him CQ. CQ was my roommate. And before he would leave, he'd drop off like a 6-pack of beer and be like, all right, man, enjoy. See you later. I was like, you're the best. I'm watching movies or whatever, having my Coors Light or whatever I was drinking on. Yeah, it was worse. It was terrible. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And Luke, it was hot. If you've never been there, we hit while I was on the flight line.
Never been to Phoenix. I don't know.
Middle of the day. I was kind of talking to the crowd. Oh. In the middle of the day, it was 122 degrees in Phoenix. And this was like in 2006. You can Google it. It was like July 2006.
Sounds glorious.
Yeah. Well, the most glorious, which you would have loved the most, was all the jets were running at the same time. We had about 20 jets running at the same time. These are F-16s. These have turbine engines. These are hot
Hot,
exhaust
hot.
motors.
Do, do, do,
We had
do,
put a
do.
thermometer on the toolbox on a jacket too, so it wasn't like on the hot metal. It was on the jacket and on one of our covers, and it hit 165 degrees on the flight line while we were out there launching jets, and we were just like, this is the peak of happiness right here, boys. This is where it's at. Yeah, and it was just miserable. I mean, you wouldn't even sweat at that point. You wouldn't even sweat. Like
That's not
the
good.
tiny bead of sweat that would happen, it would just turn into salt immediately.
Oh,
Like
so you were
we
sweating.
were, we were sweating. No, we did have one guy that was not sweating,
Yeah, yeah,
and then
that's
he
not
passed
good.
out.
If
No, no,
you're
it was
in
heat stroke.
Arizona
Yeah, and you're not
and you're
sweating,
not sweating, that's not good.
especially if it's really hot.
You need to go see a doctor
You should probably go to
immediately.
the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we did. He did. But he was fine. We drug him into the shade. And
Yeah,
medics
yeah,
came.
yeah.
He was fine.
SABC.
Yeah,
Self-aid buddy
self-aid
care.
buddy care. Yeah, and Luke was great. I loved the area, Phoenix. I mean, it was a really nice town. I didn't appreciate it at the time because we were so far from Phoenix and actually going and trying to see things. And I say so far, and it was like 40 minutes because you're Luke, you're far west, but it's like a 40-minute drive. Now I'm like, that's a commute, bro. That's work. And I didn't appreciate a lot of the things that were out there that I should have taken advantage of, but I didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't know. And all my friends out there was just like, let's go drinking. And I was like, absolutely. And that's basically all I did my entire time active duty was just get drunk in the dorms, go down to Mexico. That was about it. And then I tried really hard to get orders elsewhere, Korea, get deployed. We were a training base, so we didn't have any. Those opportunities weren't there, and I didn't get any orders to leave anywhere. And I kept trying. Usually, by the third year, you have orders somewhere when you're active duty. You're going to go somewhere else. And I didn't have any. And then by the end of the fourth year, I didn't have any, and I was like, that's it. I'm done. I should have been more patient. Again, I didn't know. I was young, 22 at the time. And I found that a guard unit down in Tucson, 162nd Fighter Wing at the time, and they were hiring. So they were taking weapons. They had an F-16 base down there, and they were taking. So I got out of active duty. I went down to the guard, and I thought they told me like, you're going to the guard, dude. Like those guys are 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year. They don't like you're going to be like way up in experience. It's going to be great. Oh boy, were they wrong. Good night of living. I went down there.
Everybody really underestimates the guard for
Oh,
sure.
so
Yeah.
much, so much. And I got down there, and there was guys that saw the F-16 roll off the lot like in the 70s, working on this jet still, because those guys can work there till they're 60.
Hmm.
And 1 week in a month, even though they're working there daily, they're civilians,
Hmm.
even though they're in their uniform. And these guys, oh, they loaded circles around me. It was embarrassing at first, but luckily I was coachable. My two buddies, Matt Mendez and Ruben Rios, they were the ones that were like, "Hey, if you're gonna be a good troop, you're gonna work for it. You're not just gonna get here and we're gonna do it like, but we're gonna make you work for it." And man, they did everything by the book, and I was just like, "Oh, this is stupid." And finally, I mean, luckily I did learn, and they did help groom me to be the person, the troop that I was later on. I got a lot more responsibility, but on the flight line, that's all you get. The reward for doing a lot of hard work and doing it well is you get more hard work because you do it well. So that's what we got. Made a huge mistake in 2010. I was about 24. I had gotten a DUI, and that was one time I got caught. I'd done it 800 times before, and thankfully I never hurt anybody, never got anybody killed or anything like that. And even my DUI, when I got into an accident, it was devastating for me because of the fact that I just made a huge mistake, and I went to jail, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is awful. I was so ashamed. But I used that as a tool to turn everything around and stop being so negative about everything. And I ended up getting my degree, got my bachelor's in science because I was going to become a pilot. I was going to fly the highway to the danger zone. I was going to be a pilot, and yeah, I was going to go places and do things. And because of a earlier injury, I had a back injury and herniated a disc, and they had to take it out and fix it and all that stuff that made me ineligible, and I had no idea until months before I graduated college. And then I got my degree, and I was like, it's stupid. I don't want it. I didn't even want it. I was like, this is dumb. For what? I had literally, only reason I had gotten that degree was so I could become a pilot. And it didn't happen. And it was crushing. But I didn't let it hold me down. I finally said, okay, well, what else can I do? Let's start looking at other things. And I started applying to become a recruiter. But because of the DUI, being a recruiter was very difficult because I put it on there. You know, it's supposed to be honest. And I put it on all my applications. Hey, I got in trouble back in 2010. And only one,
Out of how many?
11. I applied to 11 different locations. It's funny, I ended up working with a lot of people that turned me down.
Yeah,
It's
that was
hilarious.
funny.
And they turned me down, and they even admitted, like, yeah, dude, you had a DUI on there. Like, you had a DUI, and that guy didn't. Like, y'all had all the same qualities, but that guy wasn't in trouble. And I was like, it's 2010, bro. Like, you know, it's a long time ago. At the time, had already been 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And heck, 6 years.
6 years.
Yeah, 6 years, because I really started hard in 2016. But it was that one good old Sergeant Ski and Bivens. They saw that as a plus. They saw it as like, you know, you made a mistake in your career, you turned it around, you didn't let it crush you, you didn't let it derail you, and look, here you are. You really, you know, it's like a, what do you call it? Story of redemption. That's what they called it.
Yeah.
Story of redemption. And yeah, they gave me the opportunity, and I became a very successful recruiter out in Vandenberg Air Force Base, recruiting a bunch of introverted science guys that were trying to be space operators, literally fly satellites in space.
It was good for you though because you really help. Like you're really good at getting people to open up
Yeah.
about themselves,
Mm-hmm.
about what they want to do. So even the most introverted person, I've seen you
Yeah.
go and get them to
My
talk
boy
and
Jaime
get them
Gomez.
to like be able to be part of the
He
group
came to
and
the house for
crowd. And
barbecue and had
it
some
was
beer
great.
and
Like
everything.
you are really good at working with anybody and everybody. I think that's what made you
Yeah.
such a great recruiter.
I try. Yeah, but then from there, unfortunately, thought the Manny was sick. Um, and a job opportunity came up in El Paso, Texas, Fort Bliss. I was like, oh, El
I
Paso,
know.
gross, dude. What? Because I had only driven through El Paso. And so, yeah, we said, okay, let's give it a shot because it's 4 hours away from home and on both ends. It was 4 hours away from Odessa and Tucson. And so we said, let's give it a shot because at least, you know, we'll be closer to Tatamani, you know, if he starts getting worse or whatever. So I got the job, but get, I told her we wouldn't interview if we didn't like the city. So we took a weekend trip right before my interview to the city, and we hung around. We did some stuff, and we're like, "Wow, this place is actually pretty cool. Why does
Yeah.
it get such a bad rap? This is wild. It was very pretty. The mountain was amazing. A ton of stuff to do out there, and you know, talk somebody from from Odessa. He ain't got nothing to do out there. But yeah, we took the job in El Paso, and we got to go live out there for 5 years. As I was a recruiting manager, but being a recruiter, I got to travel all up and down California, and I've been to, I think I counted it was like 13 total different states that I got to training and different, you know, things like that. But it was awesome, and it was so annoying that it was all just that's where all my traveling was just to go do, you know, training events rather than actually like getting to deploy or, you know,
No, but
doing an
I mean,
actual.
it helped you to like meet all the people that you know
Oh yeah,
now and have all the experiences that you've had. Like, I
absolutely.
think it really, although it was a deployment, you still got to network and like reach out to so many different
There's
people.
such a stigma that if you didn't deploy, you didn't do anything, and it's just. I was even talking to one of my buddies. He's actually getting ready to deploy. My boy Underdoll. He's getting ready to deploy. I believe next year, beginning of next year, he's on the cycle, and he is so relieved. Though he has to leave his family, but he's so relieved that he actually gets to do something in his military career because he was a recruiter for a long time. But now he's back to his regular job, and he's going and deploying, and he's excited about it because of that, to remove that stigma. That's it.
Yeah.
And like me, I'm just like, well, never got to do it. But, oh well.
Yeah, I think you though have sent a lot of troops or brought a lot of troops into the
Yeah,
military who have deployed
a ton.
or who have gone and made an impact.
Both of those units,
Both units. Yeah, and
ironically, were very deployable and they
correct. And
deployed a
you've
lot.
changed so many people's lives as a recruiter,
Yeah,
and you have brought that into the military. You like, although you didn't deploy, you had all these people that have and have
right.
really made an impact on the military. Like some of the awards that I've seen, some of the guys that you brought in have gotten. I think we were at one of the last drills
Yeah,
for you, and I forget his name. Always forget his name. He's always there. Ermin, but he got like 4 or 5 awards this last time we were there from the last deployment he
Yeah.
had gone on, and you had brought him in.
I don't remember who that
He's
was.
the one that gave you a shot before your.
Was it Goad?
No, not Goad.
Well, Goad was the one that
He
brought
was
me
the
a
one
shot.
Maybe. I don't know. I can't remember his name. I feel so bad. I
Okay.
can't remember his name. But you did bring him in, and I was like, that impact, that now that was somebody that.
At my Master Sergeant promotion ceremony, it was right after COVID, when Captain Palacios, I think she's major now, but Captain Palacios at the time, she got up there and was like, just to kind of show you the impact of what Sergeant Herm has had in this unit. If Sergeant Herm brought you in, raise your hand and turn around.
85% of that room,
it was
hands up.
Oh yeah,
Like, so although you didn't deploy, I think the impact that you brought into not only that unit, but the entire, because it's Texas and California,
right.
You've made a huge impact on those, and those people are making impacts
With
in
that,
what they do and the missions they run.
right, but with that impact, that still doesn't make me eligible for a VFW membership. It doesn't make me eligible.
As a dependent, you do.
As a
baby,
dependent, I am because of her, but
I have
she
a
is
VFW,
a veteran of foreign wars. That's what
Veteran of wars
VFW.
are. But
And that's not me.
no, but I think, like I said, the impact of it.
Yeah, I know. When I
It's
break it
different
down
camaraderie. It's different things that you've been a part of.
with maturity,
The very many friends that you have, and
Yeah.
very, very many people that you brought in that are part of that VFW or can be part of that
Right.
VFW club would invite you every single day
And
to come and have a beer with them.
I was gonna say, you think they'll buy me a beer?
Yeah, because I'm
right.
pretty sure out of the hundreds of people you brought in, there was probably like 1 or 2 that were pissed off. I can count 2 that were mad at you of whatever BS they came up with.
No, I don't.
Came up with.
I don't even remember those 2.
I won't put
Okay.
out their dirty laundry here because it was dumb stuff they did, whether it be medically. I think one was medically that they were mad.
Yeah.
And the other one, I think it was a female. She was also mad at something. But either way, out of the hundreds of people, I think everybody would be like.
I guarantee you I was the most transparent recruiter probably in the history of recruiting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, look, this was going to happen. Sometimes it's going to suck. Sometimes it's pretty cool. But a lot of times it's going to suck and you're going to sit around and wait a lot. Yeah. And I explained it all. I was very, very open with all my applicants. I didn't mislead any of them. So if there was a communication issue or whatever, my bad, but I tried to do my absolute best to make sure all of them were in a good spot.
Yes.
Yeah. And most of them were successful. So
yeah. No.
That's a plus.
Good. And we were successful.
Yeah.
And we retired.
Yeah.
Master Sergeant.
We. Mass Sergeant. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You finished off your career as a recruiter.
Mm-hmm.
And that was great to see too. There's nothing else like serving.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And I think you did more time than I did. But both rewarding careers either way. Like, I think all that we were able to do. And I think even like being your spouse during that time.
Yeah. Even you getting out, it was still you were at the office a lot, and you were obviously all the guys all my buddies that either I recruited or that I worked with were over at the house all the time. We were still very engulfed in a military lifestyle. So, even though, yes, you didn't have to go to drill like I did, you were still, in that realm. So that was cool.
And we made amazing friends along the way.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many friends that, we wouldn't have known had we not been or served in those different places and experienced the different things. Tons of people, like, even from basic training that I still have on my Facebook that.
I'm going to do a test right now.
Okay.
Because this is kind of a long one, and that's our bad, but, we get a little passionate about this stuff. If you got this far and you served with me, shoot me a text message. Just shoot me a text. Just be like, hey, man, what's up? Or, hey, I got there, or something. Just a little tidbit. See if you got there. See how many of these little fools. See how many of these fools actually listen.
No, it's cool. It's cool hearing them too tell us, I heard your podcast. I checked it out. It's really cool too. So thank you always for the support. And
surprising every time they do.
Along our careers too, because I think having that camaraderie, having those people around you and surround you during your careers and really support you in the things you're doing is super helpful.
Absolutely.
And continuing it on. So we thank you.
That's why we try to pay it forward.
Yeah. And I don't think we're going to go into anything fun this.
No, it's already too long. Another quick shout out to the Swaggy Vets. We're, big supporters now, obviously.
Yes.
But I'll be sharing whenever I go on there. Christine just got done with hers, so whenever hers gets posted, we'll notify about that one. We'll tag them in our all of our socials and whatnot. But you got anything else for the group?
No,
No?
I think
All
that's it
right.
today.
Same. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Um, is it still tuning in? It's kind of like a radio station.
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Or streaming in.
Sure. Thanks for
I
listening.
don't
Either way,
know.
appreciate your support. And like we always say, you ain't got to go home, but you got to get the heck out of here because we got stuff to do. See y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.